Now, first of all, I want to thank Speak Broccoli for making this video possible, because he's the one that requested me to do a breakdown tutorial on how I did these effects, and I'm also sorry for the video taking so long, but yeah, it's finally here, and go check out his channel. He's got some pretty funny things on there. I enjoyed most of his videos, especially the Lego Stormtrooper one. Where he gets fired and everything. Go check it out. He's got a nice channel. And if you haven't already, go and download GIMP, because you'll need it for this tutorial. Or you could use Photoshop, but this is a GIMP tutorial, so yeah, go and download that if you haven't already. And with that said, let's get straight into this video. As you guys know, there were a lot of lasers in my video. And unfortunately, like our Stormtrooper friend over here, we can't actually shoot real lasers. So, today I'm going to teach you how to. We're going to be creating the lasers, and I already assume that you have a bunch of pictures already of an animation you want to do. Now, these are pictures taken. I've got quite a couple of frames here. This is from my one little animation in between the video that you'll see. But yeah, basically what we want to do is we want to click on one of these images and then right click it and then edit with GIMP, because this will make an image that is the exact size, so when you make the laser you can fit it in here, like here, as you see is going to shoot pretty soon. So that's the idea behind this. You don't actually need the frame right now because we're only making the laser, so delete it with the little bin icon. Then open up a layer and make sure it is ticked as transparent. And in the layer section I'll explain this once we get to the more tricky process. But now we're going to want to set up our paintbrush. So we're going to go to the paintbrush, wherever it may be in your selection or column or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to set the size pretty big for demonstrational purposes, but you can set it to the relative of your image or your scene, because you can drag images in here, and I'll show you guys that later on as well. So I'm going to set it to like just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to grab the second sized paintbrush. Then I'm going to add the smooth stroke. This will just make it look nice and neat, otherwise it looks jittery and pixely. So, I forgot to switch the color. You click this little icon. Any color that is up here is the color you are currently using. So you want to click, hold shift, which will give you this stretchy line, but it's not very accurate, as you can see. So what you want to do is keep holding in shift, and then hold in control. And as you can see now, it's snapped to the grid, which is exactly what we want. And boom, there we have it, our white side of the laser. So next we're going to grab the wand tool. Find it. It's like it looks almost like a little torch, and double click it to make sure it's selected. Then you're going to go over here and click on it. You're selecting the rim of this thing now. So next what you want to do is you want to go to select and grow. Now what we are doing is we are adding like a little outside layer, the red layer or the blue layer or whatever layer would be around the laser. So you can scale this up. I'm going to go for like 6, because last time I did this tutorial it kind of flopped. And now there's an invisible layer around this now that we've grown out from this, just scaling it out. So now we got to grab our paint bucket tool. And you can select any color you want, make it green, yellow, blue, pink, whatever is your desire. I'm just going to go for classic red because, well, it's the original kind of laser. And now, there we have a bit of a laser. Now, as you guys can see, that's pretty junky, and it's not very lifelike, it's not very glowy. It sure is bright though, but it doesn't sell the effect. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep it selected like that, and you're going to go and make a duplicate of this layer. You're going to go duplicate layer, and remember you need to right click on it, and there's your copied layer. So now move that down, because we want this top layer to be there the whole time. Select this one. This is where the layer thing comes in, and you're going to merge all these layers later. But then you're going to go to filters, which is up here next to tools and windows. You're going to click on that, and you're going to see right at the top it says blur. Now move in there. There's a couple of different blur. Gaussian blur, motion blur. You can use these all to your will later on, but right now I'm going to do the tutorial. So Gaussian blur it's going to be. What Gaussian does, it's basically like if you've used any program before or editing software or modeling, you'll find most of the time something to add some glow to something or your character, and that's a Gaussian. It kind of gives it a glow, and that's exactly what we want. Now you're gonna have to mess around with this a bit again. I'm gonna stretch this out a bit like that. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking it. Now I put it to 13 of the horizontal and vertical. This is just basically the scale on where it's sort of foaming out. And I'm gonna go and say OK. Now that looks okay, but we can always edit a bit more. So once again, you can duplicate another layer if you like. And then what you can do is add a filter again. Another Gaussian blur. So just do the same thing and repeat the process. And this time I'm gonna stretch it out a bit more, make it sort of faint. Just to make it like it have a little bit of a glowish rim. And now if I deselect it, it should look a whole lot better. Now this isn't one of my best lasers, guys. I'm gonna actually try and edit this one more layer. So you have to mess around with this bit by bit. And I'm gonna see if I filter the original. Will it give it just a bit of a better? Okay, not blur. I don't want to blur my laser. You can actually do that. It does add a subtle effect to it. But I wouldn't suggest it really. I just want a bit of foaming into the laser. No. Maybe we should do it with this one. So I'm gonna grab this filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm sorry that it has to turn out this way. It is a bit of a tricky process, and this is my own design, so I guess I have myself to thank for that. There's the little rim I wanted. And I also realized what could be wrong is because we have selected the outside layer. You can deselect that and then it will filter the whole thing. But there we go. We've got a nice red laser. Now you can mess around with this as much as you like. Add as many layers as you want. Mess around and make your own lasers. And now what you want to do is, as you can see, these aren't exactly. If I'm going to grab it, like I go to my grab tool, they are layers. So that's not what we want. We want these to be sort of separate, I guess you can say. Or not separate, merged down into each other. So you're gonna right click it and find merge down, and you're gonna do that until there's only one layer left. And now as you can see, we have a movable laser. So now we can manipulate it when we bring images into here. You put an image in the back, you manipulate the laser there, you can scale the laser, you can make a different laser, and that's gonna look really cool. Now obviously we don't have any images in here, so that's when the animation part comes in. I'm just going to teach you a small bit of what I've learned while animating with bullets. So, yeah, if you guys want to see a more in-depth tutorial on these lasers, like, I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram picture on all the lasers I did, but yeah, go check it out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to add in our image, because we're going to start animating this. So what you want to do is you want to find the image where he's actually shooting, because you want to animate the bullet. Now as you can see right here, this is exactly one of the shots where he's shooting. So I'm going to grab that one, image number 25. Keep that in mind because you will need to remember the number, because you want to replace only that image and not the wrong one. Then as you can see, the scene looks pretty cool already with just the laser. Now the way it works is I'm going to put some clips in here. I used two different shots mainly in my scenes, not far away shots too much, but for one shot like this it would last for only 1 second, only the shot, and then be gone. And then for an image that's a little bit further away, you'll have it there for 2 frames, one for the shot, one just about at the end of the corner disappearing. And if you go further away, the same thing applies because the bullet is speeding up. So I'm just going to put it right there, and then the next scene it's going to be gone, which should look okay. And then we're going to go, it's image number 25, now keep that in mind. File, export, and then you're going to go to your desktop, find your folder again where you saved your images, and then you need to go type it into 25. Make sure it's your image number, not 25. This is just my image number because this is on image number 25. So, export and replace. And now, if I go to my image, you should see it there, and then it should look like a shot. You see, it's extremely fast. So yeah, I'm just gonna exit that. Let's look at the finished animation.
Hi.
Without a doubt, the coolest scene in my video was the scene where Boba Fett was fighting Bumblebee and he shot his rocket. And I'm gonna show you how to make that. Okay, so let's get started. To make an explosion is actually really simple. All you need is some cotton and pretty much just a set. And then what you want to do is where your explosion starts off, you want to start off with a small piece of cotton. So take a picture and just add one little bit there. And then start pulling the cotton out, you know, weaving it out sort of a bit. And then add a little if you want. And then to make the effect look even cooler, what I do is I use a light and I just stick some Legos on it to give it some color. Like an orange or a red and maybe even both. Which looks really cool. And then you just extend it again, take a picture. Extend it again, take a picture. And then add more amounts, and as the explosion rises, add more. Because it's the same, it's an easing in movement, except it speeds up really fast. And at the end it eases out. But I don't do the end ease out. So yeah, and anyway. Let's look at the finished result. As you guys know, I did a lot of flying animations, but Boba Fett was definitely my favorite, and I'm gonna show you how I did this. Now, unfortunately, like Boba over here, you can't actually fly. But today I'm gonna show you how to. Now, this is a tedious process, so do stick with me through it, and let's get straight into it. So the first thing you always want to start with is a blank frame. And make sure to keep the camera still while taking shoots. So I never really used Lego bricks for flying animations, simply because it doesn't look right. So only use it when you're doing a straight flying up animation. I use putty actually for my animation because it's a lot more versatile and versatile. You know, you can move it in very creative ways, which would look kind of like a jetpack. But do make sure your character's stabilized down though. So, as I said, and I'm gonna say it again, before you start with your animation, start with a clean frame. So take a pic, and now replace your character to where you want him to be. And after that, you want to start slowly levitating him up. Well, not slowly, depending on how you're going to do it. So first add a little bit, then add a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more. Now I would encourage you guys also to mess around with this the way that you want. That's the only way to learn. But this is just a straight up animation, real basic. He's just flying backwards. And now the tedious process comes in. So I'll meet you over at GIMP. Now I already suppose that you have your frames set up, because I've already done this process how many times now. And you are going to have a blank frame. So there's your blank frame. Move it down to the bottom. And yeah, go and check out my old tutorial if you guys want, because this one's going to be really quick. I'm not going to do all these frames. So you want to set your paintbrush to the thickest one. You want to set it to smooth. And then you want to go over to this image and go add alpha channel, which will give it transparency. And now with those other images, you need to switch them off so that you're rendering through this tab. So, oops, that's a spray tool. Grab your eraser and add smooth stroke. And then get rid of the red. And because the red is so bright, it's really impossible to miss as well. So, yeah. And also make sure while you're taking these shots with your character that their legs don't disappear into the dough or whatever you're using. Putty, dough, as long as it's a natural kind of movement, it'll work. So as you can see, there that guy is levitating. Oh! And just get rid of that if that's... Okay, that little piece seems to be on set. Okay, that's weird. But there you go. This guy's levitating. It looks cool. It's great. Go check out my old tutorial. Link in the description and at the end of the video. And, yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and this was helpful. If you have any more questions, leave them down in the description. And if you haven't already, go check out my other content. As I said, I'll leave the link in the description for that one video I was talking about, and probably something else. So please leave a like, share with friends, and if you have any questions, I'm all open. And I'll see you guys in the next video.